start with Jeff.
Sounds like you had a tough conversation with Rougned. Can you talk about what's going through your mind and how he took it?
Yeah, it is a tough one. It's, obviously, this kid's been in our organization for a long time and did some really good things. We love him as a man. Honestly, he handled it really well. I thought never easy to do. Obviously, it's the worst part of our job. And giving that news to a player who basically pours his heart and soul into an organization. But at the end of the day, I think the reasons why we made the move. I felt like he understood. We tried to lay it out the best we could. But like I said, he handled like a pro, and he's been honestly a class act all spring. I can't say enough about him. He's fully done everything we've asked. Playing third base, doing things that he was uncomfortable doing. And then, it's strictly a baseball move, and it's more of an organizational move kind of forward. I think for me, it's a really tough spot. Rugi's a guy who always looked at himself as an everyday player, a potential, superstar in his mind. And, he's had moments of that, especially early in his career. And I don't think it would be fair to him to put him in a non-everyday role. It's not the best for him. I don't think it's the best situation for him or the organization. So it was a really tough day. It's hard to sleep when you have to give that news to a player, and he was obviously pretty emotional about it. He's been here a long time, and I just wish him the best, and hopefully he can take everything he's learned the last couple of years and kind of apply it and start his career anew, I guess, with another ball club.
Yeah, JD had mentioned that as we know the names who can play third base. But JD said that Odor had made changes in spring training, even at the plate, but you guys didn't project it to be impactful enough. Is that a fair?
That's fair. And that's fair. It's listen. I mean, we haven't even played the season yet, so it is a little bit unknown. But I think the things that, and like I said, it's more of a baseball move, and just what I thought we saw, and what we talked about him as a staff all the time. Just can he sustain any kind of success and consistency? Because a lot of the things we obviously preach as an offense, he bought in, but can he do that on a consistent basis? And I felt like in the beginning of the season with him not playing every day. Not a great scenario for him. He loves to play. He wants to play. Like I said, he wears his heart on his sleeve every time he goes out there. But at the end of the day, it was about production. And, we felt like that it just wasn't going to be at the level that, we would like or we would want. And that's kind of obviously a big part of the reason why we made the decision.
Holt Culberson platoon, or is that TBA?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's like a strict platoon, but yeah, I mean, they're going to obviously play there, those two guys. I think it opens up, the possibility as the season goes on that, some of our younger guys as well can make it up here if they're ready. It provides a landing for them. It would have been hard to do that otherwise. So, yeah, I mean, I think as it stands right now, those two guys are obviously going to get, the playing time at third base.
Okay, thanks.
Evan?
So I think based on what you're saying, the lack of playing time may have been the biggest thing I'm just not sure I understand how you come to the projection that he wouldn't be able to sustain any success he had. Is that just strictly a baseball evaluation, or is it more because of the lack of playing time?
I think it's all of it. I think both of it. I think, if he were to play every day, listen, I mean, we don't have a magic 8 ball in front of us to tell us exactly what's going to happen. But based on, like I said, he worked his butt off. But, the projections that, we kind of look at it, can he sustain some consistency, especially in the model that, we want our offense to look like. He tried, man. It's not that this guy gave an effort every time out there, and you can't fault him for that. But at the end of the day, the game's a hard game. So, even if he was playing every day, I don't know what the production would be. And then couple that with not playing every day, it was hard to see, the benefit of that. And I think for him, it's probably the best case scenario for him and us. If hopefully somebody somebody signs him and, he can get that opportunity and become that player. Probably the best case scenario for him, like I said, and for us in the same breath.
Woody, shame on me, and I guess shame on us. I think that there was a point in time where we made assumptions that he was probably on your roster. Was there ever a point in time where you felt like he was going to be on your roster, or has this pretty much been the thought all the way through camp?
I wouldn't say it's the thought all the way through camp. I think we talked about everybody. Every guys that are on our roster now. I mean, we talked about our entire roster. So Rougned was obviously a lot of our conversation on a daily basis, but other guys were as well. I don't think we looked at anybody as a, besides maybe Joey and obviously telling Kiner in the off season, but they still had a lot to prove, and we set that that standard from day one in camp. Like, this is going to be competition. There's going to be things that every guy, nothing's given. And I think that, they took that to heart, obviously, and every guy was in jeopardy. And not in a bad way, but just in say, hey, like, is this guy going to resemble what we want? And, at the end of the day, like, sometimes you do everything right, but the production is not there. That's baseball. That's this industry. That's, professional sports in general. That's how it works. So, like I said, it's just tough day. Obviously, I love the kid and wish him the best.
And the last thing for me on this, I just want to go back. We talked, I think, middle of spring training, we talked about, when we were talking about consistency, there was that discussion we had where, it seemed like Rougned would have a home run at some point in time during the season, and then it would seem like the swing got too big for a while. Is that kind of the inconsistencies that you were seeing production-wise?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's. And then the one thing we preach is obviously every pitch. Like, can you control the strike zone? Can you do the things on a consistent basis? And, like I said, the one thing that he rose to the moment. My challenge to Rougned was always, you rise to the moment, but what about the little moments that are meaningless? And some of those, they're not meaningless. And that's what I tried to get through to him is like every day, every pitch, whether it's, nobody on, 2 outs, have the same intent, the same plan and not get loose, in the approach. And he learned that. I mean, he talked about it openly. This kid, he was trying. It was something that was kind of new to him. He just always would go out and play and, live in the moment. That's why in those big moments, he actually came through a lot. Guys on base, he loved it. He didn't shy away. But I think the consistency, the lack of consistency on a pitch-by-pitch basis is where, he got in the most trouble when it comes to his numbers. That's where the numbers kind of fell off. Because he just didn't sustain that intensity in his in his approach and his mentality. But the kid competed, man. That's one thing you can't say about him. He competed every night. But it's just how he competed, was the biggest challenge that we tried to get through to him.
Thanks, Woody. I appreciate the candor.
Levi?
I talked to Chris Young and John Daniels about this. It looks like there's one spot left on the roster, and they mentioned that decision has not been made yet. Could you, as you are sort of contributing to those conversations, how do you weigh the benefit of adding another bat, whether that's Adolis Garcia or somebody else, versus adding a 14th pitcher? Can you kind of talk me through your thought process there?
Yeah, it's a good discussion, obviously. Obviously the right-handed bat, like you mentioned, probably fits into that last spot. But also, from a protection standpoint on the pitching staff, we're kind of going with a strategy, I guess, on the pitching side. That's a little bit unknown how that's going to kind of all play out. We obviously have done a ton of conversations and, I guess trying to simulate it the best way possible and figuring out how this, obviously the 2 tandem spots are going to go. So in the end, do I think we're going to go one way or the other? I'd probably lean towards the pitching side, but that's not 100% just yet. And I know we only have a couple days to make that decision, but I do think that there's a lot of benefit to having that extra arm. in case things go a little haywire or somebody, heaven forbid, I don't know if there's any wood to knock on, but like to, things go down, somebody goes down early in a game and, puts us in a bind. It's like, that's a reality that you have to deal with. And I don't know, but it's an ongoing conversation that, like I said, if I were to have to make the decision today, I would assume we'd probably go with the pitcher, but we definitely have, it's not a black and white. There's a lot of gray area in both thoughts.
Yeah, from a contract situation, I don't know. Maybe you don't know. If between Young and Wood, would either of those guys, if they were named to the opening day roster, and then when Joe Ellie and Brett Martin come back, are they optionable, or are those guys that you would lose if you add them and then have to try to send them back?
I believe Wood would not be optionable, but Young would be.
Okay. All right. That's good for me. Thank you.
Let's go to Pat Doney.
Hey, Chris.
How you doing,
Good to see
Pat?
man.
Good to see you too, man.
Hey, I know the roster moves are going to be the big talk right now, but tonight you're also playing in front of fans in the stadium here. I mean, can you just speak to what that experience is going to be like, and how do you address that with your team at all? Do you just kind of let it happen? How do you look at that?
Yeah, no, I think we just let it happen. I think everybody's kind of excited. We went through an entire year last year. For those that came to the playoff games, maybe you got to see it with fans, but they weren't our fans. So to actually come out and see our fans cheering us on would be pretty cool, man. I think a lot of our players are looking forward to it. It's just kind of a preview for, opening our home opener, coming up soon. So it is an exciting time, and, obviously, hopefully a lot of Ranger fans show up and we can get to hear our fans instead of that annoying crowd noise, that fake crowd noise that we had all last year.
Did you ever get used to it? I mean,
Yeah.
It was weird, but it felt like at some point you have to get used to that last year, right? But glad that's gone now.
Yeah, but there was nothing about it that was authentic. It was, kind of forced, and I thought our guys did a good job. Some other ballparks, they didn't know really when to do the cheer. They actually cheered for us sometimes, and it was kind of funny. But now it's like, just there's real human beings in the stands, and not these cardboard cutouts. It'll be kind of nice.
Thanks, bud. That's all I got.
Let's go back to Evan Grant.
Hey, Woody, two things that are not related to Rougned at this point. It would appear that if Ari Harp starts on 5 days, he would pitch the second game in Kansas City. Is that your plan?
That's accurate, yes.
Okay, and then you want Fulte to start the home opener here so that you've got a kind of a veteran guy starting the home opener, or does that matter?
It does matter, but obviously with Lyles is going to go 3, and then Fulte will go to number 4. But I don't think either one of those guys I would have been comfortable putting in that setting. But that's how we're doing it.
Okay. The other thing is, and I don't know what you've been made aware of today, but I guess MLB and the Players Association have notified teams about potentially loosening protocols and restrictions based on reaching 85% of vaccinations within the club. Do you plan to address this with the team today? Have you addressed it with them already? Kind of what's your perspective on what you guys will do about kind of vaccination protocol and what you want to get accomplished?
Yeah, we've already addressed that with our ball club. I think it's every individual's preference. We're not going to force anybody to do this. Obviously, everybody has their own opinion on it, but making them aware that if we do get obviously plus 85%, it'd be really nice atmosphere to be in. If we can loosen some of these protocols and get somewhat back to some normalcy, I think everybody would appreciate that. But if we don't get there, because people make their own choices, like I said, we're not going to force anybody to do it, but it has been addressed.
And then the last thing on that, and I'll let you run, I saw something that indicated that like the Astros were stopping in Houston basically so that players could get back, that staff could get vaccination. There's no plan for any of your players or staff to get a round of vaccinations as far as you know, is there?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. A lot of people have already been vaccinated. Some people we didn't. Obviously we we didn't take that lightly. Arizona kind of opened up, and we had opportunities at times with extra vaccinations early on in camp, and some guys took advantage of that on the staff. Some players have. I'm not going to get into who has and who hasn't, obviously, but that's we've had that available, and we just wanted to make sure the optics of that looked right. And obviously with Arizona and now I think Texas kind of joining that all adults, it makes sense if we have the availability.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Emily?
With the one roster spot remaining, what obviously conversations. What are you looking for? Do these next two exhibition games bear any weight on that, or is it mainly just talking through this thing?
Yeah, I don't think it does at this point. I think Young's pitching today, but I don't think it's going to determine whether he's on or off. I think it's more of a strategy, or necessity, or what do we feel like we need from a roster standpoint. I think the performance is secondary at this point. I think we've seen enough of our guys. Obviously, we'd love to see them for the next 2 days as well, but I think our decision will be more on what we feel like our team needs at this moment, more than the performance that happens in the next 2 days.
And then one thing on Rougned, obviously, like as Evan alluded to, a lot of people assumed that he would make the roster. Were you able to kind of, lay those expectations out very early to where you feel like that he knew that this was a distinct possibility?
It's a hard one. That's a good question, because it's not something that I would want to put on a guy, honestly. I would hate to put it back against the wall and say, I don't believe in that type of, I don't motivate that way. Obviously I told him before camp started that he's competing for a job, meaning like he's got to compete to get playing time. And I know in his mind he wanted to earn back his second base job. And, once we told him like that's probably not going to happen early in the season, that, you're going to have to work at third base, he was open to that. So he was obviously working for playing time. And I don't think it would be fair to tell him that early in camp. Say, hey man, you gotta perform or you're gonna get released. Like that doesn't. I don't think that would be the best case. And did he have any idea? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I know he was obviously upset, and he loves the organization, and it's just a really tough thing to tell a guy. But like I said, he handled it with class, and he handled it like a pro, man. And I do wish him the best.
Thanks, Woody.
Kennedy?
Hey, Woody, I guess with Odor now obviously gone and Elvis gone in the off season, do you kind of see this as a turning the page, like fully next era kind of, like, is this where it starts?
Yes, I mean, I think so. I think the guys in the clubhouse, talking to Kiner and Joey and some of these guys, it's like it's their ball club, like it's their team, and like I love Joey. I mean, I love Rugi and Elvis. Like, they're true professionals in every sense of the word. But it is kind of a new start to the guys that are in that locker room. And I think they feel that, they understand that, and learn what those guys have shown them. Honestly, there's a lot of, obviously, leadership from both those guys and how to prepare, how to play the game, the attitude in the clubhouse and everything that goes with being a, major leaguer. But I think it is the start of something new, with a new group. So I know they're excited about it. It sucks to have to get rid of guys. It is part of the job, but I'm excited about the new direction, I guess, and that group in there.
Thanks, Woody.
Okay, Skyler, last one.
Chris, based on what you know about who has been vaccinated or plans to be, do you have any expectation of getting to that 85% threshold, or is there not really any way to know that?
I don't know. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. It's not like we're keeping a tally every day and seeing how close we are. I don't even know where we stand right now, to be honest with you. I do know that we will talk about it at some point, but there are some opportunities to for vaccination if guys want them here. So once we talk to our guys and figure out from a medical staff like who has and who hasn't, then we can start looking at it. But as of right now, I have no idea.